Hey folks, let's break a self-defense misconception or myth, if you will. Let's do the stun and run one. Today I'm going to talk about a misconception I get very frequently in self-defense, especially with self-defense programs for women. And by the way, our Female Fortitude program is one of our most popular seminar series, and we get into this concept as well there. And this is the stun and run concept. I talk to people all the time about self-defense. Obviously, that's what I do. That's my primary claim to fame, if you will. And people will say, "Oh, I just want to, learn enough to get away," or "I need to, self-defense is all about just breaking a hold and running." And the Nike defense. The Nike defense refers to running, if you're not used to that terminology. And that is, in many ways, very accurate. It's always better to defend yourself by not having to engage in combat, whether it's with a pistol, rifle, air support, hand-to-hand, whatever. And for many people, the idea of doing enough damage to simply break away and run it makes a lot of sense. But there are many situations where that does not work, or where it's not the most effective tactic. Let me talk about that a little bit, and hopefully we can reframe this a bit. Let's imagine you're a woman. If you aren't a woman, imagine you are. And you are with and let's say your mom. You have kids. Let's say you have two kids, 5 and 3. Somebody approaches the street and tries to attack you, assault you, or does some kind of harm to you. While you might be very able to turn around and run away, are you really going to just leave your small children there? I didn't think so. Another scenario. Okay, similar situation. You're at your home. Somebody breaks into your home. Let's say you're a guy, and let's say you're married, you have a wife, no kids. Someone breaks into your house, and you tussle with the intruder, and you break away, and the door is wide open. Do you now run out of the house and leave your wife to deal with the intruder, or do you have to have skill set to handle it from there? Oh, yeah. How about that? Or you're with your elderly parents, and somebody attacks the group of you. You're at a restaurant, and somebody comes in, some crazy person, and they're smashing stuff up, and they're headed for your table, and it's you and your parents, maybe your mom, dad, and they're at 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. Are you going to just bolt out the table and leave them to fend for themselves? Right, didn't think so. So now, another situation. Let's say you're 23, lived on your own, you're out by yourself, somebody approaches you and they threaten you with violence, or they're obviously hostile. Well, getting away would make perfect sense then. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say let's go back to the female analogy for a minute. So you're a young woman and you have no children, you aren't with your elderly parents, you're out by yourself, you're wearing a miniskirt and high heels. Someone approaches you and they grab your wrist, and you break away because you learned this move in your self-defense workshop you took once. And by the way, we teach this stuff too. Just kind of like, and now you're gonna turn around and run away from this guy because you're obviously way faster in your miniskirt and high heels than a grown man is, right? Yeah. So, and I'm not saying this stuff to make you feel bad or say that self-defense is worthless, because it's not. The goal of self-defense, at least the way we teach it and the way I teach it, is not so you can beat up an attacker. That might be the ultimate objective. When people think of self-defense, they often come to mind when they think of two guys having words in a parking lot, throwing down, going back and forth. That is not self-defense. That's mutual combat. Mutual combat implies consent on both parties. Self-defense, or self-protection, if you will, implies that one or more of the parties does not want to engage in combat, but is forced to, either by proximity or lack of options. Again, so maybe you can run away, but you have someone else in your care. So this is an important distinction. So the goal of our self-defense techniques isn't to beat up an attacker in mutual combat. It is to use tactics and strategies to effect a safe passage, or a safe outcome. Maybe that implies you do enough damage to the attacker to completely subdue him or her. They're unconscious, they're dead, they're crippled, whatever the case might be. That might be the tactics and strategy you use. maybe you do, poke them in the eye and run away. That would be great if that's a tactic and an outcome that works for you. It's important to keep in mind that we want you to be able to have the skills and techniques to affect a safe outcome. Part of that strategy is your ability to do enough damage to have a couple of things happen. One, you must have the ability to do enough damage to shift the attacker's mindset from predator to prey. And that sounds dramatic, but basically from going from offense to defense. If you are unable to launch a strike or a combative technique, whether it's an eye gouge or a bite or whatever it is, if you are unable to do enough damage or cause enough pain or cause enough distress to switch that person's brain from being I'm attacking you to being holy crap, I need to take care of this threat coming towards me, you are going to have a very difficult time effecting a safe passage or a safe outcome. It is not necessary for a 105-pound woman to have knockout blow force in her punches to do this. It would be helpful. Now, maybe she could knock out another small person, but the idea that a 210-pound guy attacking a 105-pound woman is going to be knocked out by a punch to the chin, while in the realm of possibility, is not very useful because it's highly unlikely. So that kind of concept is silly. Can this small woman do enough damage to affect the switch in mindset? When you switch the mindset, when you are to have someone forced to react to you, it slows down the OODA loop, which is the response loop, and we'll get into that in another video. So our goal in self-defense is to teach people, first of all, strategies so that you're not in a bad place if you can avoid it, and then the tactics to affect a safe outcome. It's never guaranteed. And anytime you engage somebody in combat, there's a chance things could go horribly wrong for either you or him or her, depending on the case might be. So it's never guaranteed. But you have to have the ability to strike hard enough to cause that switch from offense to defense. You have to have the ability to identify sensitive targets that will actually cause this to happen. You have to have the ability to understand your distancing. You need to have the ability to identify not only weapons that can be used against you, knives, guns, sticks, clubs, whatever, but weapons that you can then use against the attacker. Most self-defense, virtually all of it, is an asymmetric attack, which means one of the parties, usually the aggressor, has a significant advantage in size, strength, numbers, tactics, location, etc. So that is just by the nature of a predatory attack, is someone looking for the chance to have a huge advantage. You don't see a lion, out in the middle of the savannah from a cold start chasing down a zebra. It would almost never happen. They wait till it's some advantage. They have numbers, they have the ambush, the zebra's distracted, whatever the case might be. It's the same thing for human predators. So you have to have the ability to strike hard enough, understand your environment, recognize weapons that can be used against you, and find the ability to where is the safest exit if that is an option. So this is all strategy, and it boils down, then you have tactics. Then tactics you have your technical skills. So while people think of self-defense as being the punching and the kicking, the eye gouging, the hair pulling, the elbows, the ground fighting, the chokes, the arm bars, that is the small part of it, and that's actually the last resort. And most people intuitively know this. But that's the part, that's the cool, sexy part. That's the part that's fun. And I get it, trust me. I love learning, cool self-defense techniques and arm bars and chokes and strikes and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is if you are able to handle the macro, then being awesome at the micro is not as important. So the point of this video was to illustrate the short-sighted thinking of the stun and run concept, that all you have to do in self-defense is hit somebody until they're distracted and then you take off running. That might be effective, but there's lots of situations, as I've illustrated, that would not be the most effective course. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'll talk to you soon.